To YouTube, welcome to my channel, Lost in Conditioning. In today's video, I want to talk about my experience with having a coach so far. As of this right now, I've had a coach for 3.5 months or so, right there about. And the experience with this has been very weird for me, because when I've been basically coaching myself, a lot of the time I was basically known as the guy essentially maxing out on basically demi-everything. And we're not talking necessarily 1 rep maxes, but just going, balls to the walls, hammer it out, going to like failure, basically every single set. Because I was under the impression and the idea that if you want to get results, you have to train ridiculously hard. And that has, with my experience with having a coach for the last 3.5 months or so, has simply just not been the case. My rate of progress by essentially training much easier for a good chunk of the time has not changed. What it really has changed is the amount of mental energy that I actually have. When I was training so hard every single time, even my deloads was actually like harder than 99% of people that goes to the gym, because even that was well beyond what people should realistically be doing. Even now my deloads are still on the harder side, as my coach say, but he wants the deloads to be easier. That's a problem we're trying to iron out. So, but the real experiences were, it was very weird for me to let go of the wheel and not be in charge anymore. It was extremely weird and difficult, especially the first month, to basically just be an engine and then being told this is how hard you need to go and then just do exactly that. That was very difficult at first. I've gotten used to it at this point. It's still a bit weird, but I've been told for most people that I've talked to that have experience with it, it takes about 6 months or so before that particular aspect stops being weird. But ultimately, I think it will probably not happen for me, because, realistically, I just love the feeling of going balls to the walls. But the last few months have showed me that has not really been needed to do so. And one particular big example, in this current training block that I'm actually in, I have started doing sets of 3 on log press, and in a single block I have added about 5 kg to my 5 rep max on log press, which is honestly very uncommon. I've done that while also getting lighter at the same time. And normally before, if I was lucky, I would be adding 1 or 2 kilos to my 3 rep max in around in a 4-week training cycle. So getting more than double with what to me seems like half the effort. That's quite a weird experience to have. I even in one training block added 12.5 kilos on my deadlift, or roughly 28 pounds or so in a 4-week period. And that's just, it's a bit weird to experience that you can actually have just as good progress, and in some cases actually even better progress, with what seems like half the effort. And this has been a little bit weird experience to have, because like I said, I was under the impression that you always need to go super hard, like Greg just said, harder than last time. And that was essentially what I was doing. I was basically trying to find ways of how I could go harder and harder and harder. But ultimately, if you follow that approach, you're going to hit a brick wall and you're not going to break it. You're just not. There's going to be at a point where no matter how hard you try, your body will not be able to keep up with the demands you're trying to place onto it. And ultimately, you'll probably stop getting stronger, or your rate of progress will get stale, or you may even regress. The only reason I have been able to actually progress with this basically I would say, very narrow-minded approach is because I have a body and genetics overall that allows me to do it, even despite doing things that are probably not that good of idea. And this is actually the reason why in a single training block I have managed to add 5 kilos to my 3 rep max on the log press. And that's a lot. Like, think about this. If you could add 5 kilos to your overhead every 4 weeks on your 3 rep max, realistic, I know it's not going to scale like that, but if you could just do that a couple of times a year, I mean, most people would be happy if they could add 10 kilos to their overhead press in a single year. But me having added 5 kilos in 4 weeks, that is such a different ball game. So this so far has been my experience with having a coach. Thanks for watching. Last and conditioning, signing out.